Every now and again, whenever I talk about political conspiracy theories, a commenter or two or three or 100 will say something about Russiagate. I have never made a video about Russiagate, but there are some people who I think are just obsessed with the idea. And when I first noticed a lot of people mentioning it, I thought maybe I should make a video about it. But the problem was that I had absolutely no idea exactly what people meant when they said Russiagate. Some people thought that I believe in Russiagate, which is stupid. Others were alarmed that I clearly had no idea that Russiagate even happened. Most commenters on the far right and the far left seem to agree that it was a dumb conspiracy that liberals believe. And so when I recently made a video listing off all the conspiracy theories that I've seen coming from the left recently, a lot of people were surprised that I hadn't included Russiagate. So, okay, here we go, a video about Russiagate. As best as I can tell, Russiagate means different things to different people, though it all revolves around Russia's supposed involvement in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Specifically, I've seen the word employed to mock liberals who refuse to accept that Hillary Clinton and the Democrats ran a terrible campaign in their first loss to Donald Trump, instead blaming the Russian government for somehow meddling and fixing the election in Trump's favor. To those on the far right, this was dumb and bad because it dismissed the obvious will of the American people to elect the dumbest person to ever hold public office. To those on the far left, this was dumb and bad because it allowed Democrats to continue to believe that 2016 was just a fluke, that they had no real control over, and that they could regain power without changing course or including progressives in their future agenda. The problem, as I see it, is that everyone here is wrong and also right. You don't have to choose one or the other. Hillary Clinton ran a terrible campaign, yes. And yes, Russia, without a doubt, meddled in the 2016 election and probably helped Trump to victory. Now, I'll pause here to point out that to some people on both the believer side and the non-believer side, to some of those people, Russiagate means that the Russian government literally hacked our voting machines and changed votes from Clinton to Trump. And if a person believes that, then yes, that person believes in a conspiracy theory that most assuredly did not happen. We know that it probably did not happen because we have access to loads of documents from our national intelligence services in which, prior to the election, they were worried about this happening. The U.S. has been doing this sort of spy versus spy shit with various countries now for decades upon decades. We love manipulating elections. So we have done so quite happily. So obviously other world superpowers would like to do that to us. So the Obama administration wisely had their people look into it because they had heard reports from several states that had recently seen scanning and probing of their election-related systems, which in most cases originated from servers operated by a Russian company. So the U.S. intelligence community and the Department of Homeland Security beefed up cybersecurity where needed and came to the conclusion that it would be extremely difficult for someone, including a nation-state actor, to alter actual ballot counts or election results by cyber attack or intrusion. This assessment is based on the decentralized nature of our election system in this country and the number of protections state and local election officials have in place. States ensure that voting machines are not connected to the internet, and there are numerous checks and balances as well as extensive oversight at multiple levels built into our election process. After the election, they confirmed, no such Russian vote rigging happened. But the reason why I'm talking about all of this today is because Tulsi Gabbard, director of national intelligence and, reminder, member of a really weird homophobic cult, has just publicized the document I quoted from in an attempt to convince the general public that it proves Russiagate is a myth. Which, yes, it is a myth that Russia hacked the election. But as I said, many people think Russiagate includes Russia doing anything at all to affect our elections. And as I said, Russia absolutely, without a doubt, interfered in the 2016 elections. And probably the ones before that and the ones after too, but their efforts in 2016 were distinctly obvious and successful. Gabbard is using these documents to debunk the actually false Russiagate narrative in the hopes that the general public will therefore also reject the intelligence report from January of 2017 that conclusively establishes that Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign in 2016 aimed at the U.S. presidential election. Russia's goals were to undermine public faith in the U.S. democratic process, denigrate Secretary Clinton, and harm her electability and potential presidency. We further assess Putin and the Russian government developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump. The declassified version of this highly classified document claimed that we have high confidence in these judgments, with we referring to the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA. They wrote that when it appeared to Moscow that Secretary Clinton was likely to win the election, the Russian influence campaign began to focus more on undermining her future presidency. The campaign followed a Russian messaging strategy that blends covert intelligence operations, such as cyber activity, with overt efforts by Russian government agencies, state-funded media, third-party intermediaries, and paid social media users or trolls. The report notes that the interference represented a significant escalation in Russia's attempts to manipulate the U.S. elections because, again, this was not the first time they had interfered in an election, and it probably wasn't the last time, but it was an escalation, and warned that their success would lead to similar attempts in the future in the United States and around the world. If you're wondering why Russia thought it was such a great idea to throw millions of dollars at right-wing grifters like Tim Pool and Dave Rubin ahead of the 2024 election, this document explains it very well because it works. Funding American morons to tell their large audience of American morons to vote for Donald Trump gets Donald Trump elected. No mass hacking of voting machines necessary. So yes, Russiagate is real depending on how you define Russiagate. Vladimir Putin has made many very obvious attempts to influence U.S. elections and probably a whole bunch of less obvious attempts as well. And it's very, very important to understand this and to differentiate between Russia hacking voting machines and Russia engaging in a disinformation campaign to get Trump elected. Because Trump and his little lackeys are now trying to cover up that distinction in order to possibly order the arrest of Trump's political rivals. That's right, in her completely insane press release on the matter, Gabbard claims that the joint report from the CIA, FBI, and NSA that found clear evidence of Russian interference in the 2016 election actually came about because President Obama and his national security cabinet members manufactured and politicized intelligence to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Trump. Gabbard directly calls the report treasonous and an egregious abuse of power and blatant rejection of our Constitution that threatens the very foundation and integrity of our democratic republic. Because yes, every accusation is truly a confession with this regime. As David Corn points out on Mother Jones, Gabbard's announcement happened to come at the very same time that Trump is literally posting AI slop videos of Barack Obama being arrested by the FBI and thrown in prison. And obviously it's set to Trump's baffling favorite song. Will Trump actually use this idiotic ruse to send his political rivals to a work camp in El Salvador? Is this just a distraction from the fact that Trump refuses to release the Epstein documents? Who knows? Stay tuned to find out what happens next on The U.S. is Now a Fascist Hellhole. Please, someone do something. Help us. Oh, Lord. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.